Hello and welcome. In this video, I am going to be showing you how to host a static website with S3, serving this content through CloudFront to reduce latency. And also we'll be demonstrating some features such as TTL, the time to leave, and cache invalidation. So let's get started. The very first thing you want to do is you want to create your S3 bucket and you want to enable it for static website hosting, as well as configure the policy. So we're going to be doing this. I'm already in my console and I'll come to S3. You can simply search for S3 here, S3, and then you get the search result. You go down here and you should, if you have some buckets in your account already in this region, you should see the buckets that you already have. They should be listed. If you don't, it's fine. You're not going to find any bucket in here. So what we want to do now is we want to create a bucket. So I'm going to click on create bucket and I'm going to be giving it any name. Now remember, you cannot use the same name I am using for my own buckets. This is because bucket names in AWS have to be unique globally. So if I have used a particular name, you cannot use the name. So in this case, I'm going to be saying AWS Cloud Club. AWS Cloud Club, and then I'm going to have it in the US East 1 region. I'm not choosing any bucket here. I don't have any bucket I want to copy existing settings from. So I'm going to be disabling the ACL. We are not going to be using that. Now, it is very important that you uncheck this box. The thing is that this is like the root setting for public access to your bucket. If you block off all public access at this point, then even with bucket policies or ACLs or anything, you cannot make this bucket public. This is the root setting for that. And since we want to enable our bucket for static website hosting, it means that we need public access to the bucket. So you want to remember to uncheck this box and also acknowledge that you understand what you are doing. Now, we're not going to be doing any other thing here. We are very fine with all of this. So what we are going to be doing now is we are going to create this bucket. Now, wait for the bucket to create. By the way, if you click on create bucket and something happens, your bucket is not creating. For example, let me just quickly show you another thing that could happen here. Let's say mine. And then I come down here, I do this, and then I come down here, I click on create bucket. Now you can see that nothing is happening. This is not creating. You should always scroll up. It means that there is something wrong with your configuration. In this case, there are two things. One, I did not say that I understand what I'm doing. So even if I acknowledge this and I click on create bucket, it is still not going to create because my bucket name does not meet the naming convention. I cannot have uppercase letters in my bucket name. So if you click on create bucket and nothing is happening, then you should scroll up. There has to be something wrong with your configuration and you want to change that. So I'm not going to create this bucket. I just wanted to show you what could happen when you're trying to create your bucket. So this is the bucket that we created. Now that we've created it, we have made it public. We want to enable static website hosting. I'm sorry, I clicked without explaining what I'm doing. So now you come down here and you select the bucket. So you click on the bucket name, the bucket you just created. You come to properties here and you scroll down to the end. So when you get to the end here, you see static website hosting. You want to edit this and enable static website hosting. So now you leave this as is because you want to host a static website. Now your index documents, the home page of your website, the page that people are going to see when they go to www. whatever the name of your website is, that is your index document. So in our case, we are going to be having a file titled named index.html, then we could have an error document. So this is what is returned when an error occurs. If there is an error, what document do you want, what do you want to show? And then, you're going to be putting the title of the document. In our case, we're not going to have any, so it is optional. You can leave it. And that is all. So we're going to save changes. Now, at this point, we have this configured. And we are not done yet, but let's come down here. See, I'm still under properties. So I'll scroll down back to where we have static website hosting. And then I'm going to click on this. So if I click on this website endpoint now, that's going to return a 404 because we still have access denied. We have not configured the bucket policy to allow public access. So that is the next thing we want to do now. Come back here and you go to permissions. So when you get to permissions, you want to come down to bucket policy. So even though you have unchecked the box that blocks of all public access, you still need to configure a bucket policy. So I'll scroll down to bucket policy. See, I'm under permissions. I'll scroll down to bucket policy, edit, and here. So if you already have a policy, you're going to find the policy in here. You can edit it and do whatever it is you want to do with it. But in this case, we do not currently have a policy. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to get a policy. We're going to go through policy examples, and we're also going to try the policy generator so that you know how to do this. So I'll come to policy examples here, where you're going to find ready-made policies by AWS. So even if you do not go through that place to policy examples, you could just come online and type policy example for S3 website hosting. You're going to find it. So let's come here and find the policy example that we want. So you can see if you want to make a policy that requires SSE for all objects written to a bucket. So this is a policy to use. You can see there are so many of them, but we are looking for the particular one that is for static website hosting. And so we'll just scroll down to find the one that we need. So I could just come here and check this. So I think we do not have it on this page. So this is what we are going to do. We'll just search for it. Or we to do that. We can easily find it here instead. Where is it? So hosting a static website here. If you click on that, you can see setting permissions for website access, and then you can scroll down and you'd find the policy there. So this is that exact policy. In fact, here you can find the steps you can see the steps to use your S3 to configure your S3 bucket for website hosting here. So you can see the block of public access thing. Excuse me. So here is where we find the bucket policy. And so want to copy this policy, and then we are going to be editing something here. You can see it says this place that says bucket name. We're going to remove this and put our bucket name there. So I have copied this by clicking on this icon here. So I'll go back to the console and then we'll just place it. Control V. And now we want to change the ARN. So the ARN is the Amazon resource name. In this case, I don't need to copy the whole of this and replace it. I only just have to change the bucket name here to AWS Cloud Club. That's the name of what's it called? The name of my bucket. So I'll copy this and then paste it in here. And that is all that there is to be done here. Let's explore the second method of generating a policy through policy generator. So I'll just click on policy generator, and this one gives you the access to a tool that, you just set up the policy by yourself. So the very first thing is once you select the policy type, I'm going to come here and select S3 bucket policy because that is what we want to do. Now, the effect, we want to allow for something. If it were to be that you want to deny a particular kind of access, then you'd be doing deny, but we want to allow. So when it comes to the principal, I want to leave it at all. So we're going to do star, which signifies all. You can see this. So when you do this asterisk, so it signifies all. Do you get it? So we want to give permission to every kind of access. That's basically it. So as for the actions, our actions is going to be get object. So that's the one for the read-only access to our S3 bucket. So I clicked on get object and then I clicked out. Now I want to copy the Amazon resource name. So when I come to this place, this is the ARN here. This one here, I'll copy it and then go back there to fit it in. Now, when you do this, remember to put / and then that asterisk as well to indicate that you want this to be for all of the objects in the bucket. So I'd click on add statement. Now I've got this here, and now I'm going to generate policy. So I'll copy this, and then I'll come and paste it in here. So at the end of the day, they are still going to do the exact same thing. They look slightly different, but I promise they are going to do the exact same thing. So all you have to do is paste that you generated in here. So since I already have this, we're just going to use the one that we copied from outside, or we could just paste the other one here. So that is it. And now we are going to click on save changes. Now we have successfully configured our buckets for static website hosting. We have put in the right permissions. So the next thing we want to do now is we want to upload some objects into this bucket. Now we are going to be uploading two files, our index.html and the image that is going to be referenced in the index.html. The index.html file is supposed to display something, and then it's going to have an image in it. Now, at the point of creating this video, the index.html is just, a basic and simple index.html. You have the opportunity to edit your index.html and make it as nice as you want it, to put whatever it is you want to add to it in it. So I'm just going to be using the basic one that is available to us at the point of creating this, and then the image that we are going to be using. It is very important that you do not just upload the index.html file, but also upload that image that is going to be referenced in it. So I've come back to objects here, clicked on objects, and I'm going to click on upload. You could use this upload or this one here. So I've clicked on upload. I'm going to be doing the drag and drop, which is a lot easier for me. Sometimes people make the mistake of clicking on add files when what's the one to upload is actually a folder, or clicking on add folder when what's the one to upload is a file. To resolve that and to make things very, very easy so that you do not make that mistake, unknowingly, unconsciously, I just like to do the drag and drop. So what I'm going to do is I'd simply open my file explorer, and then I'll go to the directory that has the things that I need. In my case, I've got mine on desktop, and in AWS here, I've got the what's it called? Oh, sorry. I'm in the wrong directory, this PC, desktop, and then AWS. So I've got my index.html file in here. I'm going to just, you just simply drag, excuse me, you drag and then you drop it. That's all. So the next thing I also want to upload is that image. And I've got that one in, I'm sorry, I had kept it on my desktop, but somehow it disappeared from there. So I've got to come and look for it in this place. Screenshots rather. So it's named clubs. So I just drag and drop this as well. And that is it. You should have your own items, your objects in a single place. So it's easier for you to, pick everything and drop at once and you don't have to start looking for them. So once you're done, you click on upload. And then it uploads the objects in your bucket. Now, we are pretty much done with the S3 for the static website hosting. So what I want to do next is we'll click on properties, then you scroll down to this place, and then you click on this. Remember, we used this the other time. And then I don't even need to click on it. If I come back to where I previously tried to open it, where I had a 403 error, and refresh it, you can see. So it says this, this is the image, and then you can see this is all I've got in my index.html file. So that is it. We are done with the first part of this project. The next thing we want to do now is that we want to map this to a CloudFront distribution. We want to create a CloudFront distribution and serve this content through CloudFront distribution so that we make use of the caching function of CloudFront to reduce latency and to also reduce continuous calls to the S3 bucket. So what we want to do next is we want to come to CloudFront. So click on CloudFront. Remember, you can also use the search bar instead. So I'm waiting for that to load. So you could come here and type CloudFront. I'm easily able to click there because I already, you see, I made it favorite here. So you can do the same for maybe as you're working, you have some services that you're currently using. You can make them favorites and then you're going to have them at the top here. You can easily click on them. So that is it. The next thing we want to do now is that we want to click on create distribution. So click on create distribution here, and then the origin of this, sorry, the origin is going to be that S3 bucket that we just created. In this case, it is the AWS Cloud Club. So that is where CloudFront is going to be getting what's it called? That is where CloudFront is going to be getting the contents from. Now, we are not going to be using the website endpoint. What we want to do next is the origin access. We want to use origin access control settings, and then we are going to create a control setting. So that's all. We're not even doing anything serious in here. We are simply going to click on create. So that is created and that is now in use. So it says you must update the S3 bucket policy. CloudFront will provide you with the policy statement after creating the distribution. So blah, 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 blah. For now, we really do not have anything that we want to do in here. So until this point, where is it? The default root object. Good. So It's going to be index.html. And then we're going to create distribution. Oh, sorry. We are not enabling security protections. So I'm going to create distribution. Now that this has been done, we want to copy the policy here. So we're going to be copying this policy, and now we have to edit the policy that our S3 bucket has. Remember that the policy that we set for the S3 bucket is to allow public access. So because we do not want public access anymore, we want only CloudFront to access these S3 buckets. We now have to change the policy. So we'll come to the bucket. We are going to select that bucket. The very first thing is that you want to block public access now. So permissions rather, sorry. So you come to permissions and then you edit this block public access. I'm going to edit it, and then I'm going to tick this. I'm going to check this again, and then I would save changes. Then I would confirm that I really want to do this. I'll type in confirm, and that is it. So the next thing we want to do is that we want to edit the bucket policy. So in this case, you just take this and replace it with this new one, and then we save changes. So at this point, we should not be able to access the buckets with the website endpoint. We can now access it through the CloudFront. So we are going to be grabbing where is it? So this is the distribution that we just created. In case you have others, you're going to find it by checking the origin. So in this case, it is the first one. So we're going to be getting the distribution domain name, and this is that through which we are going to be accessing our content now. So if I were to reload this one, you can see it says access denied. This was the one where we accessed the access we made the other time through the website endpoints, but we have already disabled that. So we want to put in our distribution domain name, and then we want to access this through it. So you can see I am now using the distribution domain name. So this is being served through CloudFront, not directly from the bucket. And then this is the content. So this is fine. This brings us to the end of the second part of this project. We have done two things already. We have created an S3 bucket and configured it for static website hosting. We have put in the appropriate policy, and we tested it. We're able to access our website using the bucket endpoint. The website endpoint. Now we have also blocked off public access, changed the policy so that we will be serving the content through CloudFront. To do that, we created a CloudFront distribution, and now we have tested that as well, and it is working just fine. The next one we want to quickly look at is the time to leave function and the cache invalidation function that are with CloudFront. Now, what do I mean by time to leave? By now, you should understand what happens with CloudFront when you use CloudFront to serve content from your bucket. Each time I reload this, it is going to be serving from CloudFront. It is not going to the bucket to bring this content. So this one that you are seeing is currently from a cache in CloudFront. You get, so it's using edge locations to serve contents faster to customers, to people making requests. It's not going through to the main origin. So this is going to be the case until a particular time that you set for this cache to this cache to be kept. So if, for example, you set 24 hours for the cache as the time to leave, the TTL, so what is going to happen is that for the next 24 hours, whenever anyone makes a request, an API call uses this URL to try to access the contents of your website, it is going to be served through the cache. It is not going to S3. What this also means is that if there is something that you have changed in your bucket, your customers are not going to see that new content until the end of the TTL. That is the time to leave. So I hope this explanation is clear enough. So your TTL is the time that is set for CloudFront to serve content from the cache and not go directly to the origin, to the S3 bucket. So we are going to be looking at that. So that is TTL. Then the next thing we would also look at will be cache invalidation. I think we should do TTL first, and then we can look at cache invalidation afterwards. So we are going to be changing something really small in our index.html file. So at this point, there are two ways you can do that. If you have the Visual Studio Code editor, VS Code, you can use that. And if you don't, you can just make use of Notepad on your computer. So I'm going to be using both so that you see how to use both. So if I want to use my VS Code, I'm just going to open Visual Studio Code editor here. And then I'm going to open the index.html file. So to do that, just click on this. No, excuse me, this guy's still loading. It's not ready for use yet. Okay, so you just click on this, you click on File, and then you click on Open File. So once you do that, you go to the folder where you have your index.html, and then you open it. So this opens up my index.html file. Excuse me. So this is it. Now, this is the point where I want to make a change. But before I do that, I'm also going to open my Notepad and then open the file on Notepad. Okay, I already have it here. It says index.html. And okay, let's just go to Notepad, then open. I want to believe anybody watching this video can do this, but yeah, let's still do it. So this is it. Oh no, this is the wrong one, I think. It's supposed to be in here. This is AWS, and oh god, I can't find this. Okay, let's see all files. Sorry. Oh no, not true. So this is it. And then this is where I want to make the change. So you can use any one of both of them that you would like to use. But before we edit that, let's go and see the TTL. We are going to be changing the TTL to something very short so that we do not spend so much time waiting for this to be done. Okay, so now this is my distribution, just in case you're wondering. This is CloudFront. This is the distribution we just created. And then you come to behaviors here. So I've clicked on that one, and then I've clicked on behaviors. Excuse me. So you come to behaviors. Here you have a behavior already. And then you want to select this and click on edit. So now you want to come down to where you have cache key and origin request. And then you want to click on legacy cache settings. So here I'm coming to object caching, and then I want to click on customize. So you have the minimum TTL, the maximum TTL, and the default TTL. So we have business mainly with the default TTL for now, and these are in seconds. So I want to set the TTL for just, I'm going to set in for just, let me see, I think 3 minutes should do. 3 minutes should be enough for me to edit the index. Okay, maybe I could do that already. I could edit the index.html file already so that, so I'm going to be saying Fauzia, I'm going to say zip, and oh, you know, just add something little to it, but that you're going to see anyways. And then I'm going to save this. So this is ready. Let me make sure that this is also ready. I want to ensure that I've got the index.html file waiting for me just to be dragged and dropped. So I'll come to AWS here, and yes, it is ready. And now I'm going to set this default TTL to I'm going to set it to 3 times 60, 120, 180. Sorry, I'm very bad with math. I'll be bad at math. So this is 180 seconds. This is going to be there for just 180 seconds. So it means that after 180 seconds, that's 3 minutes. Whenever any request is made, CloudFront would have to go through to the origin, to the S3 bucket to get the objects, and then it's going to stay like that for another 3 minutes. And every 3 minutes, CloudFront will go back to S3 to grab whatever content is in there. So if you have any new thing, you've got to wait for 3 minutes before that is before that starts to show, before that is served. So very quickly, I'll come to S3, and then just to show us again, this is what we currently have. Where is it? So I'm going to refresh this, and we are going to make sure that this is what we currently have. So it just says made by Fauzia. Now I'll come to S3 here and change the content. So this is the bucket. I'll click on upload. I don't need to delete the current index.html file. This new one is going to just replace it. And if we had enabled versioning, you would see all of the versions. So now I have uploaded the new index.html file, the newly edited one. And if I come here to refresh, you would see that I'm still having made by Fauzia. Why? Because this request is not getting to the S3 bucket. So I'm going to wait for 3 minutes. At the end of 3 minutes, I'll be back here to show you what has happened. So I'm guessing it's the end of 3 minutes already. So I'm going to refresh this now. It still says made by Fauzia at refresh. And when I come down here, it says made by Fauzia ZO. So this is the change we just made to our index.html file. And because the time to leave has already expired, CloudFront went straight to the S3 bucket to grab the contents. That is why we can see the new change that we just made to it. So that's very awesome. Now let's assume that you know, we have made a change to our S3 bucket, to our contents, the contents that we want our customers to see, but it is not the end of the time to leave already. And we want them to already see the new content. What do? That is why we have cache invalidation. So you can invalidate the cache so that it goes to the source, even though the time to leave has not elapsed yet. So it goes to the source bucket, and then it grabs whatever new content that you have there. Now, there are two things that can happen here. We'll come to CloudFront. You can invalidate the whole bucket, or you invalidate a specific objects in the bucket. So this is our distribution. Remember to be sure that you're opening the right one. You check through the origins, AWS Cloud Club, and then you open this. That only applies if you have other distributions anyways. By the way, I actually forgot to mention something when we were changing the policy. So if you miss that policy that is generated, that place that says copy policy, you can just come to origins here. You click on this, you click on edit, you open it, and then you would find the policy. So you can easily copy it from here and then you use it. So we'll come down to invalidations here for the cache invalidation, and then we create an invalidation. So when I create an invalidation, or before this, I would like to increase the TTL of, oh, sorry, I was supposed to remain in CloudFront. So I'll try to increase the TTL so that the TTL does not expire before we are done with this invalidation, creation, and all of that. So I'll come back to behaviors and then edit. And now I am going to edit the time to live. So this is 180. Let's increase it to 10 minutes. 10 times 6, 600. My math is poor. I'm sorry. 600. And so that is it. I'm going to save changes. And now it's going to take 10 minutes for CloudFront to go back to what's it called? To S3. And then grab what we have in there. So if I were to refresh this, it still says made by Fauzia, Z, and O. So the very first thing I would like to do here is to edit this. Of course, I can use this. So let's use the notepad this time. So, oh, sorry. I've got to reopen this. I don't know if there is a way to refresh. Is there a way to refresh? No. So let me reopen it so that it fetches the new, it fetches the edited one. Good. So this is it. So now I'm going to say made by Fauzia for AWS Cloud Club Unilag. Stop. So this is going to be the new thing that we have. And okay, let's finish with S3, with CloudFront. So we have increased the TTL, want to come to invalidations, and want to create an invalidation. So now, you know, I said there are two ways to do this. You can either invalidate the whole contents of the S3 bucket or specific contents. In this case, want to invalidate just the index.html. I could use this object path file to do that. But since it doesn't really matter anyways, we have just the picture as well. Even though I'm not changing that, I can decide to do everything at once. So I'm just going to say / and then the asterisk to say all. So it's going to invalidate all contents. So I'm going to say create invalidation. So one thing you could try on your own is to upload a new picture, for example, and then you invalidate just the HTML file without invalidating the picture, and then you see what happens. So this invalidation rule is in progress, and then it is creating. So I'll come to S3. Ideally, I should have created separate tabs for this. I don't know why I am having to go back and forth, but I'll just keep doing that till the end because I'm almost done anyways. So I'm going to open this and then I'm going to upload the new index.html file. So I'll come here and drag and drop this in and then upload. So this is uploading. Let's go to CloudFront. I'm sure the invalidation rule should have been created by now. Good, so this is done. If I were to go now to load this website, remember this was supposed to continue showing for 10 minutes ideally, but we have invalidated it. And then if I were to reload this, you can see, voila, very, very simple and easy. So now we have seen how TTL works and also how to invalidate a cache for when we need new contents to be served before the end of TTL. I think that's all for this video. That is everything we want to cover in here, and we are done. And now that we are done, we have to do some cleanup so that we do not incur expense. So what you want to do here is you want to come to distributions, and then this distribution, you want to disable it and then delete it. And afterwards, you come to your S3 buckets. I'm not going to be doing that. Okay, I think I could do that with excuse me, with one of the other distributions that I have in there. So let's go back to CloudFront. You want to come to distributions, and you select the distribution that you want to disable. You select that, you click on disable, and then you disable it. And so you wait for a while, and then you should be able to delete. So after doing that, I'm just reloading here. I think this is it. So okay, so deleting is still not possible for now. Once you finish with this, you can always come back to check on that. You come to S3, and then you want to delete the bucket. So to delete the bucket, you've got to first empty it. So let me see. Let's use this. So you come here, you say empty. You click on permanently delete. When you type that, you click on empty, and afterwards you come back to bucket, and you should be able to delete the bucket now. So after you empty the bucket, you should be able to delete it. You click on bucket, and then you delete. If you try to delete the bucket before emptying it, that's not going to delete. It says the bucket is not empty. And that would be you cleaning up your work already. And I think that is all that we have to do for the cleanup. Thank you very much for sticking by till the end. See you in the next video. Bye.